welcome back into the Toronto Six post-game show. And we are here with another win for the Toronto Six of the NWHL. They improved their record to 3-1 with tonight's win over the Buffalo Beauts. He's Justin Levine. I'm Ben Steiner. And we've got a lot to go through tonight because not only was it a great NWHL game, but it was also a shining light on Canadian university sport, which we're both very high on. Justin, welcome into the show. And we're celebrating another Toronto Six win.
Indeed, we are a 4-2 win over the Buffalo Beauts tonight. Toronto came out of the gates flying. They looked good for most of the game. I can't really say enough about Elaine Chuli, who, for the most part, really held it together, I'd say. Look, some of these lines are just clicking, and they're just you can't stop them once they get going, and that's happening early now rather than happening in the latter portions of the games. And so that's a huge attribution to the success that they're having. So I'm really enjoying seeing what they're doing.
Yeah, it's definitely been an exciting tournament so far, and I've liked these last 2 days for the Toronto Six. Of course, they weren't expecting to play today. We had a bit of a possible COVID-19 outbreak with the Metropolitan Riveters. They didn't get their tests back in time from Yale University Health, and so the Toronto Six slide in, and they play their game against the Buffalo Beauts tonight, and the Riveters will have a rescheduled game. What were your thoughts on the fact that COVID has potentially affected the NWHL bubble?
Well, I'm not as concerned as perhaps most might be. Again, this was more precautionary than anything else, just because what it sounds like is that they didn't receive the test from Yale University Health on time. And so as a result of that, the Riveters, with only a couple hours of puck drop, were told by the league, you're not playing until everyone comes back for their next round of tests negative. And so as such, they slid Toronto in from what would be tomorrow's game into today. Toronto had no problem with it. They went ahead and they played their game. And what's really interesting here, and it was referenced in the broadcast, is that most teams would appear to be a bit sluggish with a schedule like back-to-back, after a weekend set, and that's what the Toronto had. So, they looked good. They didn't look like anything was affecting them. They were ready to do it. They wanted to win, and tonight they showed that. So I think that they were actually okay with it, and they get the next couple of days off, and they will play again on Saturday.
They certainly still looked fresh tonight. They were firing on all cylinders once again after coming off that win over Boston last night. They didn't miss a beat, and they beat Buffalo tonight in what was, I think, a great performance by the team. And last night we saw in the locker room Digit Murphy and the Toronto Six going crazy to a Taylor Swift remix, and they were dancing around, and they did the same thing again tonight, and we'll take a look at that right now. It's a pretty cool atmosphere they've got in that locker room, even just in the hallway after games. I know you've spoken a lot with Digit Murphy. Were you surprised to see this sort of atmosphere in the locker room after their win yesterday and then again after their win today?
Not at all. Digit Murphy has said to me on numerous occasions and in the media press conferences, the one that happened on Sunday, that it's always a good time in the locker room after games. Obviously, when there's a loss, things aren't as, jazzed up, but regardless, the mood in the locker room, just having her as the head coach and the energy that she brings to a team, it keeps things fairly light. And so I'm not surprised to see that at all. And seeing Digit get into it yesterday, it's just a testament to, the fun and, the chemistry that the players have all, gauged with their president and head coach. So I think it's a nice little touch and certainly a way to celebrate after back-to-back wins.
Toronto Six is Julie Allen. She grooves out before the game, and the Toronto Six are continuously putting that on their social medias, and she's certainly good after the game as well for a couple dance moves. And Digit Murphy, of course, joining in as well. She's an exuberant head coach, and I'm not surprised to see that she joins in. But tonight's game was a weird one for the Toronto Six because they actually started on the front foot. They got the first goal of the game, something that hasn't really happened throughout this tournament. What do you think was into their quick start tonight?
That's a great question. Again, I think it's just the energy that's brought in by Digit in the locker room, because she'll give a pregame speech, and, I think it's just something that kind of ignites the fire. And once the fire's been ignited, you can't stop them. And I think that, as such, I think the first goal was about 6 minutes in. You can't stop them. And so that, I believe, was Brooke Boquist who got things going tonight. And she herself is on fire. She had a goal last night. She had 3 assists in the prior game. She just gets better and better with each game. And I think that we're really starting to see, again, like I said last night, that what she's capable of is really starting to shine on a daily basis. And tonight we saw more of that.
I mean, I've liked the play of Brooke Boakvist ever since she signed with the Toronto Six, and she hasn't disappointed so far this tournament. One of the top scorers on the team, and I think she's still firing on all cylinders as they head into their last game against the Connecticut Whale, hoping to make that top four and make the playoffs. But Brooke Boakvist opened the scoring tonight, and we'll take a look at that goal right now.
To the side of Jackson and then tucks it in behind. What a play right from the goal line. Jackson.
Definitely a nice goal by Boakvist to start off the game there. She had a couple dangles coming up to that. We didn't have that in the replay, but certainly a good finish, even though she lost control of the puck for just a little bit. But something that I thought was also important on the Toronto Six side of things tonight was the fact that they were able to bounce back after facing a bit of adversity in the game. They conceded a goal to make it 1-1, and then at one point it was 2-2 as well. What do you think the Toronto Six did differently to not really fall in a shell like they have in the past, like in their first game against Minnesota?
Well, again, I think their defense, like I said yesterday, starting to show more life, and so tonight they were very active just alone. And then with that, Taylor Woods, who's someone that we're going to touch more on in just a little bit, she, against the boards, is able to keep Buffalo fairly limited, and so we saw more of that tonight, along with her offensive capabilities. And so I think we're just seeing that Toronto is learning how to work in the other zone and keep the other team, away from the puck and away from, anywhere that's near their goaltender. In this case, Elaine Chuli seemingly getting yet another start for the Toronto Six. So certainly something to sit on there.
And you mentioned Elaine Chuli. She had her second straight start, and she did well once again. Last night, you and I both said that sticking with the hot hand in Elaine Chuli rather than going to Samantha Ridgewell was probably going to be the best decision for the Toronto Six and Digit Murphy. They stuck with that. What do you think of Elaine Chuli tonight and picking her over Samantha Ridgewell?
Again, Elaine Chuli left Buffalo pretty limited, 2 goals. That's it. And, I'm not to say that Samantha Ridgewell is a bad goaltender. She's not. She led in, 5 goals after they were up 5-1 the other day. So I think it's a matter more of, chemistry. And I think Digit feels more comfortable with Elaine Chuli, and seeing what she did yesterday, I think there was just a lot more, comfort and ease knowing that Chuli would be behind the pipes. She's kind of been the one, I guess, to be relied on more almost by not only Digit, but the team. So I think we're really starting to see that.
She's definitely the starting goalie at this point. I want to just remind all of you guys watching at home that you can get yourself involved with the show. You can tweet at Justin Levine HBS or at Ben Steiner 00, preferably on this live stream, and we'll get your comments and bring them right into the show. This is live. It's interactive. We're celebrating another Toronto Six win. They're near the top of the standings in the NWHL now. And in part, it's because of the play of Elaine Chuli, who we just touched on was exceptional tonight. But I also want to touch on Taylor Woods, who also had a great game tonight. She picked up a goal.
Yeah, she did pick up another goal, her second of the season / tournament, and she's really looking good from an all around standpoint. She already knows how to play her game, and Digit's kind of just left her to be, because she knows what Taylor's capable of. Someone who she's seen in the CWHL while she was with the Vanke Rays, and Taylor with the Markham Thunder. So she's quite comfortable knowing that Taylor, when she needs to be aggressive, she's aggressive. When she needs to pick up on the offensive side, she knows how to get involved with plays. And what the funny thing is she's not hesitant about it at all. And, here's the thing where people say, oh, women's hockey isn't physical. Oh, women's hockey can be physical. And Taylor Wood brings just that, that extra bit of, feistiness and chippiness. And we saw that tonight when she scored her goal, where the shot was actually sent down to the net by Michaela Grant-Mentis. However, it was Taylor Woods just sneaking it past the pad of Carly Jackson at the last second on what was kind of a floater play. So again, she reads the puck really well, and when she knows that she needs to finish the play, she's right where she needs to be. And tonight she marks the spot perfectly.
Michaela Grant-Mentis has been fantastic as well. She got the assist on this goal that Taylor Woods scored in the first period.
Follows that shot, gets the stick down, and taps it right in before Jackson.
A little quick replay there of Taylor Woods' goal. That made it 2-0 for the Toronto Six. She was a fantastic player tonight. But I do want to touch on the girl who got the assist in that game, Michaela Grant-Mentis, and her and Brooke Boakvist have been absolutely fantastic, absolutely dominant for this Toronto Six team. I would even say they're one of the best pairs in the NWHL right now.
Oh, absolutely. They're one of the best pairings in the NWHL, and Digit's loving how much they're clicking together. It worked out just the way that she's been hoping. Again, during practices prior and while in the bubble, they've been doing, just a couple different pairings, but, that one's, understandably not being shooken around at all. And, we're seeing the joy that's out of it because both of them are lighting up in their own ways, and it's fantastic to see. So absolutely no problem with that one.
And they're part of the reason Toronto got so many shots tonight. 49 shots for the Toronto Six, most they've had in an NWHL game so far. Is this because Toronto is so good offensively, or do you think Buffalo was a little porous on the defensive side of things?
That's a 50-50 question. I want to say part of it is because Toronto's offense is finally, clicking on all cylinders as a full team. But part of it, again, is that Buffalo is lacking two key players, and those components missing is perhaps throwing this team off a little bit. And so I wouldn't be surprised if that is contributing to, a little bit of a defensive lacking for Buffalo at this point, who is now sitting at the bottom of the NWHL standings as of today. So, if I'm Pete Perriman and, management being Ray Codd and the rest of the coaching staff in the bubble, I'd be a little bit worried at this point and just continue to practice because that's all they can do and hope that they come out with a win in their next game, which goes tomorrow.
Yeah, well, the Toronto Six, they'll have a day off before they take on the Connecticut Whale. But the Buffalo Beauts, they're back at it tomorrow. But they had a lot of contributions from Canadian university players, especially former University of Alberta Panda, Autumn McDougall tonight. She had an incredible game, opened the scoring, picked up another goal, and she looked like she might have gotten an assist as well late in the game. She didn't. Of course, that goal, she wasn't able to put that in the back of the net. But McDougall was absolutely fantastic tonight.
Yeah, she was really fantastic. She had 2 goals tonight. She looked hungry. And I mean, this is coming from a rookie who has never played pro before. And she is one of only 4 players from U Sports that are currently in the NWHL. 1 of 5 total, as Kim Brown, former Butte, played last year. But point being, McDougall came into today's game and very early scored the first goal. And then within a couple of minutes later was able to knock down her second just closer to the end of the period. And so with that, she marked history, the first Canada West player to score in the NWHL as seen. And so again, this is someone who is a force to be reckoned with, and she's also clicking really well with Jordan Duran, who is a veteran in the NWHL, primarily with Buffalo. She's also seen time with the Boston Pride and had a slight appearance in the PWHPA. But great thing that Buffalo was able to secure a contract with her before the season began, because what she's doing with McDougall right now, it's just, it's being lit up, and we're seeing the success that this young kid has in her future.
Autumn McDougall, certainly great, and she had the first goals by a player from Canada West, which is the Western Canadian Conference of Canadian University Sport, also known as U Sports. But something that has happened before is an Ontario University Athletics player scoring. That happened with Kim Brown, also on the Buffalo Beauts last year. She had 4 goals. She's not with the Beauts this year, but also a former Brock Badger, and the Buffalo Beauts have Hunter Akersi, also a former Brock Badger, on their team this year. A lot of Canadian university content, even 2 on the Toronto Six in Tatum Claremont and Kristen Barbara coming from the University of Waterloo and the York University Lions. They haven't really lit up the score sheet just yet, but what have you seen from Tatum Claremont and Kristen Barbara so far this NWHL bubble?
I'll start with Kristen Barber. Kristen Barber's looked good. She looks like she's starting to get more involved, and that's really promising. I got a sample size of her in the CWHL with the Markham Thunder, then more so with the PWHPA in the Secret Dream Gap Tour. And so I'm not worried that she's off to a slight bit of a slow start, because she's starting to get involved more, and that's exactly what Digit wants to see. And she knows that this is still, kind of new, being a new team and, new opponents and such. So, it's all starting to come together. And so there's not a whole lot of worry there. Meanwhile, Tatum Claremont, she's physically built, and we've seen her physical potential already. Her offensive side is going to come with that, but I do like what she's doing defensively. And I think that that physicality is really helping Toronto against their opponents. And we saw that a little bit tonight. We've seen that in prior nights. So all in all, good things with both.
And there's definitely been a lot of physicality from this Toronto team so far. They really had the physicality up against Kelly Babstock and the Metropolitan Riveters. Kelly Babstock, a whole other story right now happening in the NWHL. But they also had some physicality tonight against the Buffalo Beauts, especially after some of the scoring chances. And we'll take a look at that right now.
Dark Angelo on it there, or Woods rather, over to Boquist with a shot. And Carly Jackson makes another
Ooh.
save, and now things get nasty at the net.
Mennigan not happy and going after a few members.
Probably not what everybody wants to see, but certainly good to see a lot of fight from this Toronto 6 team. A lot of players unknown coming into this league this year, but they have had a good, dominant performance so far. But something I do want to get to is your 3 stars of the night, because a lot of familiar names on this list. Brooke Boqvist, she's on it again.
Yeah, so let's start there. Brooke Boqvist got the scoring started for Toronto tonight. And again, she continues to light it up. She had a goal yesterday, 3 assists in the game before, which was Sunday versus Minnesota. And then you look at Elaine Chuli, who again really held her own for a majority of the game, only allowing 2 goals and finished with a .923 save percentage. So again, at this point, Digit and Toronto have assigned Elaine Chuli all but the starter at this point, with Samantha Ridgewell being the predominantly the backup at this point. And not to say Ridgewell's bad. Sunday was an unfortunate turn of events, and it happens. But again, there's more comfort with Chuli, and that is completely okay. So the last one is Megan Quinn, and Megan, she scored her first point and goal in the NWHL tonight. She is an alum of Syracuse University and a former teammate of Lindsay Eastwood's, who assisted on the play. So just a little something special to add to that one. But those were my 3, and I see positives of all of them. It was nice to see Quinn jump onto a board tonight. So I was really pleased to see her finally, get something done.
A good performance all around by the Toronto 6. They're taking on the Connecticut Whale in their final game. And if we take a look at the standings, there's a lot that you're going to be seeing from this Toronto 6 team, because right now they're right in the thick of things when it comes to the playoffs.
Yeah, they're in second place as of tonight with the win. So you look at the scoreboard here with the rankings, and they've got 2 wins, 1 loss, and 1 overtime loss, 5 points. And they're with the points, they're 1 behind Minnesota with 6. Then below them are Metropolitan Riveters with 4 points and a 2-1 record. And again, Metropolitan is likely to play tomorrow against Buffalo in the spot that originally was Toronto and Buffalo. Connecticut plays the late game tomorrow, and that's against Minnesota. They stand in 4th place, Boston in 5th, which I don't think anyone saw coming. Jillian Dempsey was out of today's game with what looked like some sort of lingering injury from yesterday. She'll be reevaluated again tomorrow after being evaluated before today's game. She was on the bench but just did not play. And then lastly is Buffalo, who will be playing Connecticut, I believe it is tomorrow. Or sorry, I already mentioned that. So Connecticut gets the late game, but we'll see what happens.
We'll definitely see what happens. Connecticut, they won today as well. They've been an exciting team to watch. I don't think anybody expected them to beat the Boston Pride, but without Jillian Dempsey, you never really know what you're going to get from this Boston Pride team. Of course, she's the leading goal scorer in the entire league's history. She hit 100 points earlier in this tournament. But if you take a look at the next 2 games coming up for the Toronto 6, they're likely getting a few more in the second round of this NWHL bubble. But it's the Connecticut Whale coming up. What do the Toronto 6 have to do to find success against the team from Connecticut?
Okay, so today we saw a really good game from Connecticut. Their youngsters were on fire. From Kayla Friesen that's my rookie player to watch and to be very careful against, because she's got a wicked shot, and offensively you don't want to mess with her. So they have to get around the youngsters. The veterans aren't doing as much as I perhaps pegged for them to be doing, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. And Abby Ives, she is in net. She is something else. She's an alum of Quinnipiac University, and she is showing, no signs of adjustment. She's, getting right in. She won her last game, and she continues to impress. And tonight we saw more of that with a 4-1 win. And so if there's one thing to do primarily aside from get around some of the younger offensive talent, it's to get around Ives and to make sure that your very net front presence, more so than even today, because today they were a lot, but just catch her off guard. And for Toronto, those are the 2 keys to success, really.
The Toronto 6 take on Abby Ives and the Connecticut Whale Saturday afternoon. But that's all we've got for you tonight. He's Justin Levine. I'm Ben Steiner. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Toronto 6 postgame show.